Back in 2017, when I made my first appearance at the General Assembly as the newly elected president of Ghana, I said neither Ghana nor Africa wanted to be scars on anybody's conscience. I said we want to build economies that are not dependent on charity and handouts, because long and bitter experiences have taught us that no matter how generous the charity, we would remain poor. Between 2017 to 2020, Ghana recorded an average growth rate of 7%, amongst the highest in the world. In 2020, when the global economy in sub-Saharan Africa has contracted by 3.5% and 2.1% respectively, Ghana was one of the few countries that produced a positive growth rate. This is a testament to our determination to build a Ghana beyond aid. Mr. President, the last time there was such an upheaval in the world was during the Second World War, which led to the establishment of a new world order. This organization, the United Nations, and the other Bretton Woods institutions were created to maintain international peace and security, help rebuild the shattered post-war economy, and promote global economic cooperation. Even before the pandemic outbreak, many had concluded that the current structure of global economic cooperation, designed some 77 years ago, has proven inadequate to finance infrastructure and economic transformation in developing countries. Given the incapacity of the global financial system to produce the necessary outcomes to finance sustainable development, we need a constructive review. COVID-19 provides a great chance to rethink global economic cooperation based on the principles of mutuality, equity, sustainability, and collective prosperity envisaged by the SDGs. Ghana wants to share a few thoughts which we believe should form the basis for the new global cooperation. Firstly, we need to strengthen the funding of the existing global health organizations. This must include a greater, more predictable base of multilateral funding for WHO and regional centers of disease controls, which play the central roles in global health security. It will require dedicating an additional 1% of GDP to funding global health. This is an investment in a global public aid goal, not aid. Secondly, we must develop more resilient finances to build back better and for future preparedness. Across the African continent, revenues have decreased by as much as 150 billion United States dollars, as economies are still reeling from the economic impact of the pandemic. African governments have already spent scarce reserves fighting the pandemic and providing social protection to millions of affected households. Ghana has been advocating that innovative financing must also address structural challenges beyond responding to immediate fiscal needs by providing mechanisms to facilitate investments in health infrastructure. Thirdly, we must reposition key multilateral organizations and international financial institutions such as the United Nations, the other Bretton Woods institutions, and the G20 to reflect inclusiveness, support country investments in global public goods, and ensure fast-track financial support to build back better and prepare for future pandemics. For instance, the key to the G20's effectiveness is that it achieves representative coverage of the global population and economy with a diversified enough number of leaders at the table to enable speed and flexibility in deliberation and decision-making. Admitting the African Union to an expanded G21 would have the same galvanizing effect within Africa that the EU's participation in the G20 has within Europe, strengthening policy coordination and coherence across the 54 African economies. With the African Union at the table, the group suddenly would have representation for 54 more countries, 1.3 billion more people, and 2.3 trillion more output. This extraordinary increase in representation will add just one seat to the table and about 10 minutes to the discussion. However, it will redefine global policy coordination to enable a more prosperous, inclusive, and sustainable world to emerge. Fourthly, we in Africa are as committed as any to the fight against climate change. We believe, however, that the fight is better advanced if we're able to maintain the crucial balance between economic, political, and environmental imperatives, positions that we will be articulating in Glasgow at the COP26 conference, which should form part of the new global compact. Lastly, now more than ever, we must defend democracy, constitutional rule, and human rights in the world. In the last 24 months, we've witnessed assaults on democracy around the world, sometimes even in developed countries where we had assumed that a consensus on the democratic form of governance had been established. Mr. President, in West Africa, recent events in Mali and Guinea have undermined democratic governance in our region. ECOWAS, the regional body whose authority I have the honor to be the current chair, is unreservedly committed to maintaining democratic governance in the ECOWAS community. That is why both Guinea and Mali, foundation members of the community, have been suspended from its organization pending the restoration of democratic governance. We welcome the support of the United Nations for the measures taken. ECOWAS has given Guinea 6 months to do so and requested the immediate release of President Alpha Condé. On my visit to Conakry last Friday, the military leaders indicated their willingness to see to his imminent release, and it is our hope that they will keep to their word. The authority has also made it clear to the military government in Mali that it is not prepared to negotiate an extension to the February deadline for the holding of democratic elections, as the essential steps to be taken can, with political will, be effected within the ECOWAS-sanctioned timetable. It is better that a government with a democratic mandate be in place as soon as possible to implement the necessary reforms for the future stability and growth of Mali, thereby enhancing capacity for the all-important fight against terrorism in Mali and in the wider Sahel. We in Ghana highly resolve that we will continue to defend democracy and constitutional rule and uphold human rights. We shall work to strengthen the institutions that support democracy in our country and in our region. We shall continue to support the United Nations and other international organizations to help remind us that indeed, no man is an island entire of itself. I thank you for your attention.
If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, kindly consider doing so by clicking on the button down below.